Square word. No, bliat, that's the one I know very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bliu, yep. Bread.
I'm sure you got it.
I practice this one. Tell me where this one goes. Oh.
Hi guys, today we are at Bертине Kitchen School and I was honored to be a student of such a great master today, and it was really wonderful.
It's good fun.
Why are you laughing? You're not a master.
I hate the master. I'm just a baker, you know.
You're just a baker.
Yeah, it's I'm always made me blush now because you master. so I take it.
Take it. You are a master. I saw you baking. So what I learned about you, that you were baking from 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's the whole life. That's what you're doing all your life. Is it like how it happened?
I was not very good at school, so I left school at 14 because it's dyslexia. So I know now I have dyslexia because of my children. So when at 14 I couldn't do exam, I realized I couldn't sit down do an exam and stuff like that. So I thought I got to do something different. So I went to a special school where I went to work for 2 weeks and went to a special school for 2 weeks. And I started my apprenticeship there. So that was before I was old enough to do apprenticeship. Mm-hmm. So I knew my job pretty well by the time I became an apprentice. Mm-hmm. There's still a picture of me when I was 14 over there. I'll show you later.
I would love to see it.
Yeah, it's over there.
Historical moment.
Yeah, it's the only picture I got of me working in the bakery when I was that big. I looked horrible. So it just started like that. And when I first started, I hated it because you work all night, you're just so tired, and all your friends, you know, they work.
What was your day by that time? How, like, when it started, when it ended?
Usually, when I was working, I started about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 4, and then we never finished before. We always knew what time we started. So last thing of the day, I asked my boss, what time tomorrow? That's the last question I ask him. Then he tell you what time, and then you say great, and then but you never know what time you finish. Mm-hmm. You finish when the job was done.
Okay, so it always depends on the door.
Yeah.
Door rules. So now you're saying you're the boss of the door. How you say?
Show the door's boss.
Okay, so
that's
you
my
got
English
this.
version.
So before door was a boss, and now.
Yeah, I think when you start in the bakery, like I said, you know, when you might talk at the school, you start and you think, wow, it's all brand new, you work with much older people. So when you're 14, 15, you're very impressed by everything. And you got older apprentices and you look at them. But I always remember the same bakery where I work. I remember buying my bread in the morning there when I was a kid. And I always remember seeing the door opening sometimes and the baker coming out putting some big trolley of bread for the shop, and they had some pride about them. And I always try to
live how much bread they made.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and the pride of the baker, you supply the bread for the town. And I always remember seeing the guy working on the oven. So the door was slightly open, you could see them working. That was fascinating. They're covered in flour, you know, kind of tired and stuff. And one day for myself, I was there, working there. I remember pushing the trolley of bread in the shop with the pride. Okay. So that was always stayed in my mind a little bit. But yeah, when I started, you know, I didn't like the.
It was tough.
It was so tough because all my friends used to work Monday to Friday, going out on Friday night, you know, get drunk, come back at 5 o'clock and we knock on the door of the bakery to get some croissant. And I was like, oh, I hate you. And when I finish work at 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, then they wake up. It's just a different life. But,
completely different life. But what kept you there, like, and what keeps you till now, like, because you're still doing it, no? Yeah, okay, maybe now you don't wake up at 2 in the morning, but still.
No. I guess I did my apprenticeship and then I went to the army. I signed for 2.5 years in the army. So I changed a little bit. And then when I came back from the army, then I wanted to stay in the army, but something told me not to. So I didn't stay. Then I went to work in Paris in restaurants. I did some work in a hotel as a front of house. And then I came back to Brittany and I started doing some ski season. So I worked in Mировым in France doing some ski season in a small bakery. I started speaking English a bit there. Going out far too much party every time. It was terrible. But
finally you could party.
I know, yeah. Never slept. And during the summer I was doing the season but in a French bakery in Brittany. And then I met, my last ski season, I met some English people and I came to England for a week holiday. And since then I stayed. I never
You never came back.
I went back to pick up my stuff from France and come back. I fell in love with the country.
I like it here.
Yeah.
Stay.
Well, I think because when you're born somewhere, like in France, you know your limits in a way because you know you're not part of that class or there or you belong somewhere. I always knew I had to go somewhere. So I always knew inside me I had to travel or to do something else. So when I came to England, I didn't belong to any social class in England. I was French, a chef or a baker. So I didn't fit to any.
I know exactly what you mean. When I moved to Italy, I felt the same.
Yeah. And then I felt, wow, hang on, I can do something with my life here. So I said chefing. My first job was I applied for in bakery. There was no bakery in England. It was just bread. Was just a dessert. There was no except for sliced bread.
No?
Yeah, toast bread, the cheap bread. And so I had to find a job as a chef. So I went to become a chef. But bread was always part of me. So I chef for many years, became a head chef and run restaurants and so on. And
so you taught English people to bake bread?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I started. It's not just me. There's plenty of people who did that. So
yeah, of course, but still.
Yeah, it probably was part of the wave.
So I mean, how many years it was ago?
Oh God, so many years. I arrived in 1988. So
I was born on 83. Yeah, it's like all my life.
Yeah. So
you were teaching English people to bake.
Sort of, yeah. But then in '92, I found a job for a big company, big bakery company, and that was a revolution in England of jobs.
Industrial bread.
Yeah, but they had a branch where they used to supply supermarket with good bread and stuff like that. So I went to work there and I was paid a lot of money, company car. I was like, wow, that's life, that's amazing. So it was completely different. But you opened my eyes on the industry, and that was the revolution of bread starting. Then the focaccia came out. And nobody could say the word focaccia in England. And ciabatta, like, nobody understands that. Now it's everywhere. So this opened my eyes on the way the industry was working. And I always, when I do consultancy, I always clean the bread. I never use improvers, I use skills all the time. So I spend a lot of time working in big companies, just retraining their guys to understand, to work with dough, to understand that. So I did that for a few years, working again in restaurants and so on. And then the idea, I was reading more baking book in England and never understood the way they were making bread in here. For me, it was completely alien. Kneading the dough and pummeling to death. What the hell is that? Because
so what is the main difference in approach to bread? French bread.
It's not just French bread. I see even in France. I read some book in France, and the way they mix the dough. It's very hard to describe a technique. It's very, very hard. So my idea for the book was to try to be different. But if you look at many books in many languages, they will say, okay, knead the dough for 20 minutes until light, supple and elastic. And that means very little. So
you're saying that your approach doesn't come from some tradition?
It does. My approach is based from back in the 1800s in France, when they realized that by bashing the dough to death and mixing with stick or their feet or anything, the dough was too dense. Because the concept of bread on those days, and that's the same in Russia, same in Germany, same everywhere. The concept of bread back in the early ages was if your bread was heavy and dense, it would fill you up. Because people work harder. The bread had to last longer.
No one wanted air in a bread.
Exactly.
You have
and
to
a lot
have
of French
much
they had
food as you can.
Exactly. So it was about bulk, and bread was made at home by the housewife usually, and then they used to make the dough the best they could, prove it at home, and take it to the local baker. So every village, every city used to have a big wood-fired oven where
everyone was baking together.
Exactly. So it was communal oven, and you take your bread back home, and then you eat it
for 2 months, for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks until the next session. So the skill was, everybody was a bit different. The flour was not white flour like we've got now, it was very different. And then there's a guy called Parmentier in France, and they did a lot of work on bread, and they realized that people had died from bad nutrition because of the bread. It was just too dense, they couldn't eat it. So it blew up in their guts. So they realized that if you added more air and water into the dough became lighter. By being lighter, which makes more sense now, by being lighter, you had more volume, you fed more people. But the main thing, it was more digestible. Yeah. So they had to change the way.
For you, for your gut.
They had to change the way of making dough.
So what is healthy bread? Does it exist now?
Healthy bread is a big question because I always say it depends the way it's made.
Yeah. So
if it's light and you got good crust.
What is healthy bread? What it has to be sourdough? No.
No.
It has to be what is?
For me, healthy bread is going to be the dough will be made properly. So nice and light or something like that. Or you respect the timing. So like in France, you got the bread for different parts of the day. If you got the ficelle, you eat straight away. For me, it's about the ratio of crust. If you have enough crust, then when you eat your bread, when you buy your baguette, the first thing you squeeze it, don't you? Exactly. That little noise now, by doing that, you switch on this. Straight away when you do that little noise, there's a little click in you. That's your other brain.
Yeah.
When this one is switched on, your mouth salivates.
Yes.
When your mouth salivates, your brain is working.
Digestion starts.
Exactly. Spread the side that you do into there, everywhere. Okay? Look, there's no shape to that. You can strap it like that. Don't put flour. If you're struggling, speak French. I'll show you that. Just a few folds. What I call the quarter turn, just to finish it off. What can you see inside the trust? Okay? So, the way we do this, if I need flour, I put it on top. I don't put flour. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Vodka, yeah, my first class when I opened my school was a vodka class. There was a guy who lived he wrote a book, I can't remember what it's called, on vodka. It was the same publisher as my publisher for my first book. And we did an evening event in here. So teacher learned about vodka and doing different infusion with the vodka. So I still got one bottle downstairs, the one you tried, with the vanilla pod inside. So yeah, I like my little vodka, it's quite nice.
Yeah, it's very good actually for you. It's also healthy, I think, but let's stop here.
It's all about quantity. I think in Russia you drink quite a lot of vodka.
Yeah, quantity is about like how you drink it. If you have a good piece of Borodinsky, you're fine.
I must get some Borodinsky.
So what actually comes in your mind when you think of Russia?
Russia. And my name is spelled wrong, by the way, so thank you for that, John. And they always send me a copy, say, can you have a look if you're happy with it? Like, I don't speak Russian, so so I'm very proud of it. I think we publish in about 35 countries now, and 17 languages.
You know, every person in Russia who bakes at home has this book.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, thank you.
Once you come, like there will be a line of people.
No, I think I'm always fascinated by Russia. So it's one of those countries the Red Square, you know, the architecture and the history also. So it's I've got a few friends now I'm talking to, so it'd be very exciting. So I know I had to cancel twice now to go there.
I know, it's crazy.
Mad with COVID.
The COVID of pandemic.
Yeah, and traveling over there, you know, Mr. Putin, if you listen, can I have a visa, please? It's very hard to
Visa
get.
for Bertiene, per favore.
That'd be nice.
Please.
Because it's so hard to get a visa and so on and traveling. So I hope soon I can go back there, but I would have to have a
But
you've
been in Russia once?
No, I didn't.
Never?
No.
Never? Oh my god.
No, I want to go. I know.
Definitely should come. Also because now everyone in Russia is baking home.
I know, yeah.
Now
it's such
a big movement.
It is, and the flour is good, everything's good.
We want to learn. Hands in the door.
Yeah. Show the doors pass. No, I can't wait. It's I want to spend a week teaching and a week just visiting.
Just having some
walking around and some vodka.
And what's your favorite bread to make?
Oh my god, I get asked that question very often, or what my favorite way to eat.
No, to
It's,
make.
for me to make, I think
Also to eat.
to eat it depends on what I'm eating. So I like the bread to match with my food. I like my sourdough, of course, goes well with everything. But my favorite dough to teach is the one we're going to do tomorrow, the basic white dough.
Basic white dough.
If you master that, you master everything. And it makes sense when you do it tomorrow, because it's about dough is dough in a way, and every flour will have a different specific. We stick differently, work differently. If you work with you see with people tomorrow when they come to the class, the magic of the dough. So you drop my flour, one back, and then your two hands and work together. Like so. Then Pilates, that is. Unless if you find a recipe with that, it looks messy, doesn't it? So when things look messy, then I hate. So simple. Hands, lift. Then when you go with that fear, then you start to enjoy it. So you can take, on the 5-day break class, people will go through that motion. On the 4th, 5th day, they don't even think, they do it. Okay? And by tomorrow, it's the
Isn't
same.
it fascinating, like how people change?
Oh God, yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. It's lovely. And it's not about age. It's not about the way we teach. It's about understanding what your head has learned. So when I teach people, I also do don't put your hand in the think before you do something. Say out loud what you've seen. Don't read books. Don't read recipe and do it because you've learned nothing. It's all about understand what's happened, observe what's happened, and try to do it without anything on the front of you. Visualize what you're going to do. And because when your hand touches the dough, it's too late.
Gets sticky.
Like, you panic, and then you don't know what to do. So you see tomorrow, it's quite fascinating to see how people, some get it, some don't. It's fun. And as long as you have fun, it's fine. And also what I love about teaching is what it does to people, from mental health to something they want to do all their life, or want to open a bakery. There's so many different things why people want to do it. But everybody bring together because of the love of bread. They love eating bread. They love the feel of it. They love making bread and giving it to people, feeling smug. Very good. So it's there's always, when we do in the morning when I start my class, I ask everybody what they're doing, and I love that part because you learn about people, so you judge a little bit what they're doing, but you learn so much more what makes them want to learn.
Yeah.
And then you can just...
What drives them? Why they want to touch the dough.
Yeah. And I think making good bread is one of those things you want to do once in your life. The problem is when you do it twice, 3, 4 times all the time.
Oh yes, it becomes a problem.
Being consistent, that's really where you are. But I always say people who want to open a bakery or something, is make sure that your passion doesn't become a nightmare.
Exactly.
Because you can become...
Was it your case? Did it become a nightmare passion?
Well,
sometimes, did you have
yes, many times. Oh God, yes, many times.
So what happened? This is interesting. What happened in this moment?
It's a fear, the fear of failure, the fear of taking on too much, the fear of not being able to please people, and so the bakery, when we opened the bakery, we started from in here, and you still have the bakery shop just in the front.
Yes.
And when the noise came out that we opened the bakery, we advertised a little bit. There's a queue all the way over there.
And you're like, oh my God, what are you going to bake now?
I said, what have I done now? What have I done? I opened the door, they all rushing, half an hour later, sold out. And when we come after 9 o'clock, I said, where's the bread? Sold out. I said, what? People don't understand how much time it takes to make things. So I make 40 almond croissants, a few sourdough, a few baguettes, a few focaccia, gone.
Gone.
So the next Saturday after, I do twice more. 9 o'clock, sold out. I was like, oh my God, what have I done now? I knew then I had to open the bakery, which I don't want it to do. I knew I don't want it to open the bakery, but I knew, oh my God, what I started now. So, and then we had to open the bakery. We had to step up and everything. So my first baker, Brett, came to work for me. So he came on Friday after we finished the class, work all night, make more bread, and we had more and more and more and more. It was like,
and it was never enough.
It's never enough. So because people, wanted good bread, and then we moved the production to a different place, at a little shop, and then we started to supply Waitrose, and it started to grow and grow and grow and go to a multi-million-pound business. But then, what I used to love doing was creating things and everything, and then you start running a business. You start you know, so I had a great team to work to
It's
run the business.
responsibility.
But you work all day, you go home, you have a dinner party, you got phone call, oh yeah, then turn up, and then you got to go, okay, you go to work, and you work all night, and you go back and teach downstairs. So everything become a bit too much sometimes.
Crazy rhythm.
But the whole idea was always to build up the brand, the Bертine bakery brand, because the value is not in bread. The value is in what you create, the soul, the spirit behind the brand. And we were growing. People talk about us all the time.
Yes.
Through by the school, of course, but all through the bakery. So we started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So people got interested on us, and big bakeries said, "Oh, we want a big part of you." And I said, "Can I have it? Thank you." It's a strange thing when you work with my family, my sourdough, what I call my sourdough, is there's 2 times in the year my baker will used to panic in the bakery when the equinox happen. There's something happen with the atmosphere is different, and they were mixing the dough. They was calling me, say, "Oh, the dough is funny. Doesn't work. The ferment is gone funny." I said, "It's normal." So usually about mid-September, it's changing. The weather change, autumn start, and March time before spring or something. There's always something in the bakery where everything is different. Nothing.
So like,
nothing.
you put it in the oven like.
And well, you see it before with the dough. The ferment is not the same. There's atmospheric pressure. I don't know what it is, but I always find it. So I told my baker, "Don't panic. Just we can cope with that." But of course, you got bakery. Sometimes you got when oven break down or your mixer break down, your fridge break down, and you got dough everywhere, and you're just like, "Oh my god, what have I done?" As you say in Russian, bliat. It just goes crazy.
I don't bake anymore. Okay.
And you want to work, close the door and go and see what have I done. But it's like any job. It's like many jobs. There's day when he's mad and you think, "What have I done?" You just can't see the end of the day. But you keep going, like that you do for any of your jobs. So it's not just about you. You got people working with you. So you get to keep pushing.
Yeah, of course. It's not just you and dough. It's also fridge. There is also other people.
Oh, it's everything. And the bigger you become, the more equipment, the more people. And we got people, we got problem. It's always people don't turn up.
Normal.
Normal. Everybody wants, "I want to be a baker," and after 2 nights you just can't move. I'm too tired. It takes a lot to work night shift. It's not everybody can do it. Some people love it, some people don't like it. So, or they dream they can do it, but after 2 or 3 nights, your body clock goes completely out of sync, and it's just impossible. So.
Yeah, it's, the big part of this job is also physical job.
It's
not
physical.
only analyzing, not only your brain.
You got to think. I think baking is the only job where you got to use all your senses. Cooking also, but bread is something
also
like
intuition, like
gut feeling. Your gut feeling, exactly. You can't just work with time. You can't just say it's going to be 2 hours. If it's warmer, if it's cooler, you got to understand that. It's like if you're cold, you put a jumper on, and the dough will react the same. And you should be able to slow down the dough if you are in a shift in the bakery. So you got to always. The guy who's on the oven is going to talk to the dough maker when to start the new dough. It's teamwork, but it's so many elements. Every night is different.
Yeah.
Always your order, you got big orders, you got to have deliveries done. So it's like conducting an orchestra.
Yeah.
You got to have your timing right, everything. If you make one mistake, you forget the yeast on one dough, that's it. You can have 200 kilo of dough you can't use.
Perfect.
And 200 kilo is a lot of dough, and you want to kill somebody, they forget the salt or something like that. You finish your night and you get the bread.
Just Tuscany bread, it's fine.
Yeah, well, if you say that, yes. But there's so many. When you leave it to the people, you are leaving it to problem all the time. So it's.
I understand.
But it's okay. You learn through it, and
you kind of you feel okay in it, You enjoy it.
Yeah, you enjoy it, and you enjoy it for a certain time. I enjoy teaching now.
You enjoy teaching now?
I love teaching. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Because it's quite nice, the feeling you get to people who come very nervous, by the end, when they leave, they become friends, And you get letters, you get this, and what it does to them. Like the man who came today who just nervous breakdown working, and then try to do something quite different, and find something about baking and learning with me in here.
Yeah.
Completely liberating. And that's, we're a talent of people like that all the time. The best story I ever had was an old granny. Every time I cry when I hear that story, if I say it, she came, it was a Saturday, and I go around in the morning and ask everybody, and she said, I said, so what do you want to bake? She said, well, I got a grandchild, I love to bake with him. I said, oh, that's so sweet. And everything. So carry on. And I talked to her in the class. So what's your grandchild? She said, well, I want to have a hug with him. I said, oh, okay, that's different. So well, why doesn't he? And she said, well, he's very, very severely autistic. So he's really, the only person who can touch him, not his dad, his mother. I said, wow, that's, I said, well, you never know, bread does something, my technique. I said, just, you never know, go home and make some bread by yourself, shut the door and do stuff like that. And she sent me a letter, she said, I had my first hug.
Oh my God.
I'm melted. Because she made the bread and she explained the story. And she gave me another class after, she was in tears saying, and she said, I made the dough, and he heard the noise of the dough. And he came around, he put a hand in the dough with her, like he knew some instinct, and made the dough together. He didn't talk.
Yeah.
She baked the bread, they ate it, and gave her a big hug. Like he knew.
I'm gonna cry as well.
Every Saturday she made bread now, and for that grandmother was 65 or something like that, she said, it's the best time of my life. For her, that was her dream, and the boy was about 8 years old. For 8 years she had no hugs, except when he was a baby.
Yeah.
But she wanted a grandchild, and with the connection of the bread, if you got children or if you got grandchildren, you get very emotional thinking of that.
Oh, of course.
And we get so many stories like that, or people who are recovering from MS and their body, you see them transformation after 5 days.
It's a good start for bread therapy.
It is. Dough is a therapy. You put your hand in the dough.
It exists. Dough therapy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's not. It doesn't exist. I tag this on Instagram sometime, because when you put your hand in there, or if I put a video on Instagram of me mixing the dough.
No, I'm serious. Maybe
people
you
get
should
really,
do that. Like,
well, maybe there's a business there. I haven't looked.
Because I studied clinical psychology. I have a degree in clinical psychology, so
Wow.
I never heard about dough therapy, but maybe
It
it
does
already
something.
exists.
Some people love watching the wave on the beach. You carry down, or the mountain or whatever. But I put a lot of video of me mixing the dough. People are mesmerized by it. They watch it for hours on repeat. It's like, that's weird.
The transformation of it made by your hands is like, wow.
Because when you look at somebody making pottery, when you look at somebody working with their hands, a craftsman working with their hand is incredible. For me, it's natural. So people are mesmerized by my hand doing it. But so it's kind of my job now to be able to pass on that knowledge, because you can all do this. If you get your head in tune with your hand, the brain will touch things before we think, and that's where it goes wrong. But yeah, see, I've learned a lot about teaching people over the past 15 years. So that's what keeps me going all the time, because it's all those stories, all those people who live much happier.
Yeah, bread makes people happy.
It does, because if you make something nice, you give it to somebody, you get a smile, you get thank you, and it's phenomenal, the pleasure you get from that. And you do it again. There's nothing worse than somebody make you a cup of tea.
Like today, people were
yeah, you see your face when this comes out, like, wow,
yeah.
very happy with it. Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I love it. It's like I have children. I always have this, how you say, association of. It's kind of the same. It's kind of the same.
Yeah. It's
like new bread born.
Yeah. But also, if you bake at home with your children will always remember, oh, I remember my mum used to make that bread. They will search in their head for that smell. They will search. I remember my grandmother baking. I search for that feeling all the time. It does things to your head. Yeah.
The only thing when you said that the problem comes when it becomes too obsessive. So my child once told me, it was dramatic. He said, Mom, you love bread more than me. I was like, and me struggling to get open crumb.
Oh, that's a picture of open crumb all the time. Oh my God, that's craziness.
Is that important, open crumb?
I think.
Like.
It depends. I mean, people get obsessed with things sometimes, and sometimes I put a picture of my bread on it. Oh, can we see inside? No, I don't want to cut it. So I just do the thing I want, But it's there's no obsession to have massive big air pocket inside.
Yeah, that's what Instagram about.
I know, and some people don't like it like that, So my side where I make it was a nice texture I'm happy with, but people can put stuff on it, it doesn't drip everywhere, There's obsession to put more water and mixing dough with their fingers and stuff like that. I don't work that way. I work in a much more conventional way, It's.
I don't know why I was sure you're not a fan of big holes. I don't know.
I don't like fat
It's too much trendy right now, or
Yeah, the thing, like when things start to get trendy and you become, you know,
there's no sense.
it doesn't make sense. For me, bread makes sense. I don't like wasting it. You know, when you cut a loaf of bread on the middle just to show the crumb, like, yeah, okay, well done, you got a crumb, but you know, it's so don't throw them inside. Judge ton marche. In the punch bag, you punch your bag, you break the finger. Put your hand like that. Top is here, I'll bring it down. This in French is called Hleb. Studio. You look everything up. Like a cross at the back, you know. Everything was precious on those days.
Yeah.
And now we just, you know, so it's a.
It's overproduction in general.
Yeah,
over having
we waste
everything.
things and the rest, you know. So for me, it's every loaf I make a little bit of my heart in there, and everything I teach is the same. So I want people to enjoy it. Yeah, it's lovely to see the texture. It's lovely to do it, and I do it sometime also, you know. If I try a new recipe or something, I want to see what's inside.
Mm-hmm.
But usually I know by looking at the bread what it's going to be like inside. I don't have to cut it to know it. And most time when you look at bread,
you respect bread, no?
Yeah.
You have a lot of respect. Like not cutting bread for me is like about respect. I don't know.
If I don't have to cut it, I won't cut it. It's
just to see. No, I cut it for the picture for Instagram.
Yeah, if I do a taste or something, yes. But if I make a lot of bread for me at home, if I don't even cut it when it's still hot. Sometimes you see people cutting it when it's still hot. Like just, I don't know. The focaccia or some different bread maybe, but not. I don't know. That's my view. I try not to follow too much on the fashion. I'm sure somebody pick up on Instagram. Hey, you've done that already. Oh God. But you know, it's, that's life, you know. It's.
The last question. Then I have a little blitz for you. The question is your advice for someone who is in a stage of the fear, who is struggling, doesn't manage to get the dough.
Mm-hmm. The one is never don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Don't give up.
Okay. And the first thing is also the second thing is spend time. You know, on my website, there's so many videos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Spend time to study before you put your hand in there. You will not learn nothing by putting your hand in flour and dough and just make it work. Because you've got to understand there's a method. You've got to understand how to read the dough. Mm-hmm. There's a top, there's a bottom. If you understand how to touch it the way it doesn't stick, you'll be fine. If you don't understand that, it will stick to you. Mm-hmm. So if you stick, what you do, you put more flour and more flour, or oil everywhere. So you got to learn. When I teach people, if you've got 12 people, 12 dough are all the same. That's consistency. If you leave people to put flour because if you stick a little bit, not one dough is the same. So all our bread will be different. Mm-hmm. Consistency is the hardest thing to achieve in bakery. Mm-hmm. You can cheat, you can put improvers and machinery, or you put skill into it. But when you put skill into something, it's much harder to be consistent.
But it becomes more beautiful.
Then you're in control. When you're in control of something, then you feel at one with it. So you make something, you know exactly what it's going to look like because you follow that process. And sometimes if I don't teach, I cut corners and I always pay the price. But I don't tell anybody. I forget the salt once. Like, oh my God! If my students see me now, they will be laughing. But because I don't focus, and if you don't focus on what you're doing, that's what's happened. You make a mistake.
You have to be concentrated. You have to use your head.
Yeah, dough doesn't forgive you. You know, it's if you don't respect it. So it's to work with ones at one with what you're doing. So, but it's fascinating. You learn something all the time. You learn about. I learn more about people now. That's what fascinates me a lot more. I like from people from all over the world. You know, I get absolutely the message you get from everywhere. A lot of people come write to me in Russian because they don't speak English. So I Google it. It's so sweet, you know. Sometimes I Google it in French because the Russian language is much more close in meaning to the French language than the English language. The English language is much more in box, I'd say, but the word in Russian always feel much deeper on meaning. So there's much more meaning into them. Yeah. So it's if you translate it in French.
I don't speak French, but I understand what you mean.
It's a bit very similar to Italy. In Italy, you get much more floral language, much more from the Latin. So it's there's some roots about the Russian language, one word can mean different with the way you say it. It's going to mean
Say
different.
something in Russian.
It's swear word. I don't
You know the swear words?
No, bliat, that's the one I know very well.
Yeah.
Bliat, there's another one that's weird. But no, it's funny because you get so bliat. Люблю.
Люблю.
Here we go, you see?
Я люблю хлеб.
Я люблю yum. Bread.
I'm sure you got it.
I practice this one. But if you learn to learn a language, it's the same as everything. You got to go with the feel of speaking. So you need vodka or beer. And then you speak and you speak and you speak. If you open your mind, then the language will come out. But it takes a long time for the brain to tune in to a new language. When I came in England, I was like, oh my God. So I read not the local newspaper, I read the tabloid newspaper, it's all basic language, it's a common language, and then listen to the radio. So your brain absorb, and you learn to understand. Every day is a new word you place into a sentence. It's like a jigsaw, you start to put it together. And after that you start speaking it. And you make a fool of yourself, but then that's part of life, You got to make mistakes to learn. But you learn the real word, you learn why people speak normally, Not the cat is on the box or all the stupid words you learn in the French language sometimes. So it's about absorbing the culture, which is very, very important. And the way people think, drink, go out, it's a culture. It's not just a language. It's about absorbing what's going around it all the time. I'll go to Russia soon. You see me soon.
Okay, so now please answer without thinking, like quick. Ready? You ready?
Go for it.
You ready? Crumble crust.
Oh, crust.
You're thinking too much.
Crust. I tried to understand the question first. But.
Wheat or rye?
Wheat.
Hand mix or mixer?
Mixer. Power.
Bake or teach?
Teach.
Commercialist or sourdough?
Both.
Passion or duty?
Oh, tricky. Passion.
Vodka or kvass?
Vodka or?
Kvass, you don't know that one?
No.
Come to Russia, you all have. It's like very, very liquid sourdough which you drink.
Vodka.
It's like kind of kombucha.
No.
You don't like it?
No,
Oh, sorry.
No.
Vodka.
I know what it is. Vodka. Vodka.
Caviar or borscht?
Sorry?
Caviar or borscht? You don't know what is borscht?
No, caviar.
Oh my God, it's horrible. You have to come to Moscow.
I know. Any big company wants some consultancy? I'm open to that, please.
Thank you, Richard.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Nice to meet you.
We are waiting for you.
I'm coming, promise.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Пока-пока.
Пока-пока. That was good fun.
That was so good.